Hey, hey, hey. All right. I'm trying to see if I can go live on Instagram. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Let's see if it's working. This is my first time. Is it my first time? Well, I was playing around with it last time. Um, let's see. Hopefully, nobody comes in. Let me see if I can rotate this at least this way. I'm in a new location, a new space. Um, the door is right there. You think anybody's gonna come in here? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I was supposed to go live at 9 p.m., but I am so tired, y'all. I am going to let me see. Trying to see. Sorry, y'all. No one here is returned. I mean, I'm on. Hopefully it works. I mean, it says I am. I think I am. I think I am. All right. So I'm going to be going live again every day for the month of July. This is a weird angle. Sorry, y'all. Literally, this setup is like tripping me up a little bit. But I'm going live because the glare. Hopefully y'all can see me. That glare. It's like Jesus, you're shining on me. I'm going to be going live every day for the month of July. Literally every single day. Last time I did the challenge, I only went live Monday through Friday. This time I'm going live every single day, the month of July. And we're going to really stepping it up when it comes to discipline. I feel like, maybe people can relate. It's like you build discipline in one area, but it's a little harder to build in other areas. Because like your girl, I go to the gym. Well, I was consistent with going to the gym every single day before I switched to a new gym, but I have no issue working out and moving my body every single day. Like I built that discipline over years. But certain things when it comes to ministry, business, it's not that I'm not disciplined. I think it's just I doubt myself. We'll get deeper into that. But yeah, just going live. I think it's also not me interrupting myself, but I think it's deeper than that, right? I think it's about wanting to show up perfectly. And I really will continue to put myself out there until I get comfortable doing the hard things, even when I can't show up perfectly. You know what I mean? Like I really struggled with perfectionism before, and it's still like messes with me here and there. And so when I can't show up perfectly, I'm like, I'd rather just not do it at all. And then we pretend like it's excellence when it's really just, perfectionism. So I'm going to do that. We're going live every single day, no matter what. Um, no matter what. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Lena Tivisayo Biojo. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a soul cultivator and strategist. In layman's terms, that's basically like a mental health coach and consultant, but from a spiritual perspective, because I really, it's the interconnection of faith and mental health. I'm the host of the Community Well podcast. I am the host of the Wife with the Well meetup and Wife to Anulami and Mama to the 3 Gs. That's a little bit about me. And so I guess I'll share. We'll start at the beginning. My biggest thing is I want to reshare my story again. For those of you that don't know, my first book was From Survival Mode to Greatness. And I talked about my story. I talked about my struggle with PTSD and severe depression. I talked about how God healed me. I really walked through a lot of the things that I experienced in sort of my journey. If you're just tuning in, please let me know in the chat. I can't really see names because I'm using StreamYard, so it's streaming to different places, so I can't see anything. So let me know where you're tuning in from, or just say hey in the chat. But yeah, so when I wrote Survival Mode to Greatness, God really told me, share your story, because I went through so much childhood trauma and childhood wounds and how it impacted my life. And then the work that I was doing when I got my master's in counseling and helping people and just seeing the connection of like how my childhood had impacted me, how others' childhood had impacted them, and children growing up in unhealthy environments, all that stuff. God was like, share your story. And I was like, bet. I mean, it was really like just full on obedience. I wrote my book. I remember writing like with sticky notes. I'd be at pickup. I had the boys at that time, and I'd be at pickup and carpool, like writing my book because I was just determined to be obedient. He wanted me to share my story. I mean, like, you healed me, bro. And I'll share more about like my story more in depth. I might even bring my book and really take my time. Like reading my story and going through it, because sometimes you gotta inspire yourself and read your own story. So I've been like rereading my own story and been like, God brought me through a lot, you know what I mean? And so he told me to, share my story. And so I wrote the book. But then I also started this process of like speaking about mental health and speaking about my own story. And so I remember when he was like, share your story. And at that time, I wasn't really asking God, like, questions like, what should I do? And being specific. So I just called up people and I was like, hey, so, I used to suffer with PTSD and severe depression. You didn't know that. It was places like my college that I went to and like the Lawrence Boys and Girls Club. And I was like, I really just want to share my story, like randomly, emailing people like, this is what I want to do, because I just wanted to be obedient and share my story. And I feel like I maintained that energy of like sharing my story for a hot minute. And then I got like a little fast forwardy. I tend to run fast, and go ahead of God sometimes, and I didn't really take my time with my story and sharing more of that. And so it all started with me sharing my story of God healing me, and then noticing the patterns of like how it impacted families altogether, how it impacted marriages, and then the struggles that we went through in our marriage because of our childhood wounds, and so God really has me in the season of, expanding what we've already built, when it comes to the Wife at the Well and the Community Well podcast and all that. So we're in like this place of like transition. And so I wanted to go live every day, share my story, but I also wanted, hey y'all, I can't see anybody. So just say hi in the chat so I know who's with me, that I'm not talking to myself. But we're in this place of like transition, and transitions can be tough. And I sense that there's other marriages and families that are going through transition, and it can feel really rough. It can feel chaotic. And I've been through so many transitions now that I sense, hey boo, I see you. I've been through so many transitions now that I know what it feels like. Cause I remember going through a huge transition when we lived in Georgia, and God wanted me to like share some of the stuff that he was doing in our lives. And I was really caught up with the transition and the emotions that were going on. And I was led by my emotions, and I did not share. And looking back, I'm like, bro, I would have been like, can, just in a different place, right? And everything happens for a reason. I'm grateful for the way things have happened, but I'm like, imagine if you didn't stop. Imagine if you would have kept going. Like, and for me, I mean, with ministry and social media and using my platforms and using my voice, like, imagine if I didn't stop, because I was so caught up in the transition, and it was really a hard season and a dark season for our family in Georgia. But it was hard and it was dark because God was pruning us and he was doing something at that part. And I'll talk about this later, but we were in an incubator stage. At that point, we were not talking to many people. We were like, literally, it was only the people that were going to nourish us, that were going to feed us, that were good for us, like a baby in an incubator, right? Not everybody's allowed to touch a baby. And that was us. And so in that period of time, I was like so caught up in that I was like, I don't want to share anything on social media. I didn't know how to. And now, of course, we're going through this transition period in life in our family that it's not that bad, but I also feel like I'm stronger, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so I want to share some of the things I learned, the lessons that I learned, what I'm navigating right now, how I'm navigating that. Talk about my book, my story, and really, my goal is really to inspire, especially cycle breakers, to realize the grit that they have, because I feel like as cycle breakers, sometimes we don't realize how resilient we are. the grit that we have, because breaking cycles and some of the things that we experience are so hard, that we're so deep in it, that it's like, man, and we get caught up in this, that we don't realize all the things that we've experienced and how resilient we are. And ultimately, of course, my goal is to lead everybody back to God. So I share transparently, and I share, with vulnerability, because I know that ultimately, I just want God to get all the glory. So we'll be locking in every single day. And I'm excited because it's not just going to be me yapping. Repair of the breach. Don't get me started, boo. Do not get me started. You're going to get me stirred up, child. Listen. Uh, mm. So, but I'm excited because we are going to, even like breaking down the word and like praying. Actually, I have to tell you about prayer tomorrow. But breaking down the word, we'll have guests coming in. So kind of like we do with the podcast, but like live. And having like resources for wives, resources for moms. I have somebody coming in that is, she has resources for children. And so I'm excited for that, because it's like, many times we are extremely resourceful, we are brilliant, but when we're in a hard season, it's hard for us to access and tap into community and tap into the resources and tools that we have. So I'm like, I just want to make it easier. So I'm going to bring in the peoples. We're also going to be like cooking together, because in this season, one of the things that God is challenging us in our family is food. Is healing through food, being good stewards over our temple, being good stewards over our body, which is like really a big challenge, if I'm being honest, y'all. Like, we have, like, as a family, have gotten comfortable. The kids being in sports, you just grab stuff really quick, whatever. And it's like, it's time to be intentional. It's time to lock in on the things that we're eating. So we'll be talking about like groceries, and we'll be talking about food. We'll be talking about fitness. We're going to talk about it all the month of July. Okay. And it's 31 days of like great conversation and people coming in. And I just have to find a time. I might do a poll or something, because I'm like, I kind of just want to do it in the morning at 7:00 in the morning when it's just me. And then for guests, do it later in the evening. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm gonna figure that part out. I was like, I just have to go live today and kind of just introduce what we're doing. And then lastly, I wanted to share, we are doing prayer and fasting for wives. If you're part of the Wife at the Well, the meetups, then you got the email. It was kind of last minute. I had to be obedient, but we start tomorrow. We'll be fasting on Wednesdays for marriages. We're fasting for our husbands. We're fasting for our marriages. Like, now more than ever, we have to be on our face and really. I feel like God is really like, we need to be strengthened spiritually and tap in together. So we'll be on prayer at 6 a.m. my time, Central. So sign up for that. You can do that. I'm trying to think if I have that. If you go to the link in my bio, any of the Wife at the Well meetups, that same link, you can sign up. There's a book, Fast Your Way to Health. And I'm on it. Thank you, boo. See, with the resources, this is why we come together. I hope this saves. I think this is going to save. Let me see. This is Fast Your Way to Health. Okay. Period. Because fasting is really, really, really effective. I mean, spiritually, period, right? It's just effective to connect with the Father, to hear his voice clearer, that type of stuff. But in general, I just feel better when I'm fasting. So I'm sure there's, so many benefits. Thank you, boo. I appreciate you. So I could get it. Listen, say less. But fasting and the foods that we eat, eating whole foods, there's healing in food, mental and physical. And so we're going to tap in there, and I'll share. I'm going to read this book, Fast Your Way to Health, and I'll come back with some info, but we're going to talk about that. We'll be fasting tomorrow. What else? I'm trying to, we have Wife at the Well meetup. That's July 17th. And I'll be sharing, of course, different ways how I'm here to serve you. The Community Well podcast is coming back soon. So we have a plethora of resources because this second half of the year, we have got to lock in, right? Like my focus is on building up healthy families, but also building ourselves up so that we are the best that we can be effective in the kingdom, right? And so we have work to do. And I feel like we really have to lock in and not allow distractions to overtake us. I don't know what happened the first half of the year for you. The first half of the year was intense for me. I'll talk about that on another live. Intense in a good way. Like God was just doing his thing. But I do feel like this, not urgency in a bad way, but I do feel like this umph of like, it's time to lock in. It's time to lock in. Do not allow distractions to get you um, off your foundation. It's time to, all the things that you said you want to do that God placed in your heart. It's time to go in. It's time to go in. But I think that's it. I think that's the bulk of it. We'll be hanging out for the next 31 days. I do have to find a time. Once I find a schedule, I will post it so that we're able to be on the same page. Because I like to tell you all ahead of time so that I'm not just popping up. You know when to expect me. And I think that's it. I'm tired. Obedience is vital in this season. Okay? Period. Period. That's it. That's why I was like, I sent an email just a few minutes ago to Fast Tomorrow because I just sensed it and I was like, I just got to be obedient. Can't question it. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. It don't matter what it look like. You just got to do it. Obedience is key. And that's it. With the right heart posture. It just reminded me of having a surrendered heart because sometimes we obey and we do things just to be like, I'm okay, I'm gonna do it. But then we don't see fruit and we're like, what happened? We have to have the right heart posture. And then the other piece of it is like the stewardship afterwards, because sometimes God calls us to do one thing, right? That act of obedience, but then there's a continuation and we kind of slack on the consistency. And that's honestly what I'm working on, right? Because I can do a thing, I can write the book. I wrote the book, I wrote Survival to Greatness. That was out of obedience, but where was the consistency in continuing to share my story, right? So there's like multiple layers and parts to obedience. And I'm like, what is the part that we have to work on? Not out of, just we're human. So it's like, now I'm like, okay, what do I have to do to be a good steward over this that the Lord has given me, this assignment, and how can I continue to be consistently obedient no matter what happens? Because, life be lifing. And then it's like, all right, that's it. I got to go. I have a deadline to meet. I have Gigi still up. I'm trying to let her stay up home. It's summer. Homegirl goes to sleep at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, period, go to sleep. But I was like, she was on a play date and her friends were like, the moms were like, they go to sleep later and then they sleep in. Will this backfire on me? I pray it doesn't. But I'm letting her stay up a little bit later today to see if she'll sleep in. Because sis, I wake up at 5:30 for prayer and she's up with me at 6 a.m. like, you want to talk about Noah? And I love it. I love it because she gets to be with me and I want her to see me praying. And also sometimes mama just needs me time. Just me time, All right. So I'm going to go and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll post when I'll go live. I'm going to do a poll so y'all can help me out. Morning, evening, I don't know. We shall see. I know when I have guests, I'll have to plan that ahead of time, depending on their schedule. But yeah. All right. I love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.